Cause and effect is a law so simple that it governs every moment in the universe, yet almost no one fully understands it. It seems simple, but the real problem is that in most cases, we are unaware of the cause behind the consequences we face every day. We end up paying the price for actions that others provoke. Neo was a prisoner of this same law of cause and effect. He could never choose. Every action he took was predetermined. The interesting thing is that neither the Oracle nor the Architect could escape it. Time made them victims of cause and effect. This leads us to think that the principles the Merovingian established as the basis of the Matrix are the ones that still dominate the simulation. Was the Merovingian the only one who was right in the whole Matrix story, being one of the few characters who still exists within the system? It's time to stop for a second and ask ourselves if cause and effect still hold power in the Matrix universe. Is the Merovingian still a threat? Or will cause and effect cease to make sense in Matrix 5? In this video, we will be reviewing the 5 reasons why the Merovingian was always right, and how he might return in Matrix 5. Welcome to Matrix Explained.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Number 5. The origin of the Merovingian and the Nightmare Matrix. Why was the world of suffering created? Humanity lost the war against the machines. The machines allowed the remaining humans to survive on one condition: to surrender their minds and bodies in service of the new sentient civilization. Humans would be connected to an imaginary world, while the mechanical beings used them as resources. The real world was destroyed after the war, so migrating to an artificial world was the best alternative to living and dying on the ashen earth. Humans would live in blissful ignorance in the fantasy land, while the machines dominate what was left of the scorched land. Whether it was an acceptable compromise or not, it was the only option humans had. It was then that the City of Machines assigned a program the responsibility of creating a new world, a false reality where humanity would live oblivious of the consequences of its actions. The one baptized the Architect then gathered all of humanity's knowledge to create the perfect world, granting their desires from time immemorial: eternal perfection, endless happiness without reminders of the past, of destruction and fury. However, human nature always notices the flaw in perfection. Instinct leads them to want to awaken from the Architect's blissful prison. Regardless of its splendor, the human eye led to devastation. Numerous crops died, and the machines instantly lost human resources in massive quantities. Bewildered, the Architect did not understand the outcome. The original version of the Matrix was full of human pleasures. Unfortunately, perfection was overwhelming for the inferior organic human mind. So the Father, enraged and confused by humanity, raised his hand and embodied his fury in a world painted in black and red, a realm of existence designed to serve as a reminder of humanity's dark emotions.
The first Matrix I designed was quite naturally perfect. It was a work of art, flawless, sublime, a triumph equaled only by its monumental failure. The inevitability of its doom is apparent to me now as a consequence of the imperfection inherent in every human being. Thus I redesigned it, based on your history, to more accurately reflect the varying grotesqueries of your nature. However, I was again frustrated by failure.
What lurked in the world of nightmares? Inside the Father's chamber, miniature screens adorned the walls, displaying images of famine and destruction, as well as monstrous creatures from fantasy works and human nightmares. The binary God, the father of the simulation, created a hellish world tailored to humanity in reflection of all its deepest fears, a land where all human horrors are gathered. Literal fear, not metaphorical. But neither where perfection nor torment exists can the light be permanently extinguished. The human spark once again awakened, and the established system collapsed, proving that human will is more powerful than the illusion created by a machine. Why could neither the world of pleasure nor that of eternal torment prevent the revelation of the truth. The Father alluded to the fact that the enigma in question is choice. If the human perceives predetermination, the moment of revelation will arrive, the awakening to the lie, and thus the mother of the simulation, the oracle, bestowed upon the Father the concept of false choice, the mechanism that would further perfect manipulation within the false worlds. And the Father granted the humans the false election, the illusion of choice. Unbeknownst to them that their destiny was inevitable, humans within the future versions of the simulation will believe that they are in control, without knowing that the system is controlling them.
Everything begins with choice.
No, wrong. Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without.
But not even the world of choice can silence the human impulse to seek the truth. What is the symbolism behind the nightmare matrix? Since the dawn of civilization, from the Sumerian stone inscriptions, humans have dreamt of an underworld of torment from which they must escape or avoid at all costs. Some know it as Plato's cave, the world of lies and illusion of Gnosticism, an imperfect reflection of true existence, created by an entity or system that believes itself to be a god. This imperfect creator crafted an imperfect existence designed for suffering, which few can awaken from. Many philosophers throughout history have proposed that only through the search for truth can enlightenment be achieved. That search was the crack that caused the collapse of the nightmare matrix and all the simulations that would exist afterward. That imperfection is what led Thomas Anderson to awaken and remember that he is the one, as well as the continuous presence of another anomaly, the Golden Code. Number 4. Is the Merovingian the true villain of the Matrix? For the Frenchman, there is only cause and effect. Choice is a lie, and time would prove him right. Smith had infected the Matrix, and Neo made a deal with Deus Ex Machina. Neo faced Smith in the simulation because he still believed that he was making the decisions.
Why, Mr. Anderson? Why? Why do you persist?
Because I choose to.
Neo continued to believe the Oracle's lies till the end, but then he was faced with a dichotomy, the illusion of choosing or not choosing, destiny or free will. When Neo finally realizes that choice wasn't real, he gives up and is assimilated by Smith.
What are you afraid of?
It's a trick.
You were right, Smith. You're always right.
Neo understood that he mustn't choose. He must accept cause and effect, thus vindicating the Merovingian. Listen to the words of the Wachowskis at the end of The Path of Neo.
Now, the real reason we're here is to discuss the big problem we faced in turning these 3 movies into a video game. You see, at this point in the story, Neo stands on the verge of Satori, ready to resolve the paradox of choice and choicelessness, of free will versus fate, but that can only be achieved through an act of surrender, which occurs after he has abandoned the perspectival nature of truth, accepting the totality of present consciousness, which ultimately allows an evolutionary transition.
Transcending the Cartesian dilemma through the emergence of delimited spirit, which then provides the world with a choice of a third path, the path we have, the path of truth.
You promised you wouldn't do that.
Shit! Sorry.
Satori is the Japanese Buddhism term for enlightenment or understanding. It is a state where only the existence of the present is accepted. On the other hand, Cartesian dualism proposed that the body cannot separate from the mind or spirit. Neo must accept the present, surrender the paradox of choice, and accept the inevitable. His sacrifice is what allowed the destruction of Smith. Neo understood that choice was simply an illusion. Still not convinced that choice is a lie? That every time the Oracle gave Neo a choice, she was simply guiding him down the path that she desired? Let's see what Lana Wachowski had to say about choice.
Well, the whole arc of the path is that the first one shows this sort of choice world of red and blue pill, but then the second one gets to the same exact paradigm. So there's 2 doors. The doors are exactly the same as the red pill, blue pill, But the whole point is that by the time Neo is at the door, you want the audience to be conjoined with Neo so that you understand that there is no choice. That choice is in itself an illusion.
The only character in the Matrix universe that resembles the directors is the Merovingian. You could say that he is their personification in the film.
Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without.
That choice is in itself an illusion.
The Matrix universe has a particularity that no other films have. We can talk about its lore, about what happens in the world, watching fights between machines and humans, while simultaneously using deep philosophical themes and symbolisms. Neo is trying to save the woman he loves, while simultaneously functioning as an instrument to convey highly profound philosophical ideas, such as one's own choices and destiny. Therefore, we cannot ignore what could be the fundamental pieces in the Matrix 4 philosophy. The Matrix is not only a piece of fiction, their ideals are very important. Understanding this, the Merovingian represents the last unsolved paradox. Can humans escape cause and effect? As much as Neo tried, he could not save Trinity. He ended up helping the machines and was possibly returned to the source, just as the architect said it would happen. Everything was orchestrated by the Oracle, and although she was playing a dangerous game, nothing that happened was out of her control. So is humanity condemned to live in the clutches of cause and effect and the illusion of choice inside the Matrix? Programs like the Architect and the Oracle function as almost omniscient deities, which have control over everything that happens. This is why the act of choosing is not real. No human can predict the actions of the machines, but the Merovingian is not human. He is one of the oldest programs in the Matrix. The Merovingian understands that the Matrix works with cause and effect, but he can still manipulate other programs for his personal interests. This leads us to believe that although for humans, choice is an illusion, this may not be the case for some programs. For those who can make decisions, such as the Architect, the Oracle, and the Merovingian. This could be the reason why the Frenchman is so dangerous, because he evades the Architect and the Oracle's control. He has managed to impose his own decisions by creating a line of cause and effect. The Merovingian has threatened and even destroyed the Oracle, or rather her shell, once before.
Since I have seen how good you are at following orders, I will tell you what to do next. Run back and give the fortune teller this message. Her time is almost up.
The Frenchman wanted the eyes of the Oracle, as he always desires more power. But why? Let's say that his thirst for power is driven by his desire to replace the Architect. If so, he represents a serious problem for machines and humans. He can break the truce between them, bringing chaos and destruction, and him reaching a position of ultimate power. If the Merovingian succeeds in his mission, only one person could stop him. Number 3. The Oracle controlled the Merovingian. The first beta matrix was a paradise, in every sense of the word, a place created to maximize the psychological well-being of humanity. In this matrix, there were no agents, but guardian angels. Seraph was one of these guardians.
The first matrix I designed was quite naturally perfect. It was a work of art, flawless, sublime, a triumph equaled only by its monumental failure. The inevitability of its doom is apparent to me now as a consequence of the imperfection inherent in every human being.
It is believed that the Merovingian was an operating system that eventually began to make calculated decisions for itself and help other programs escape the first simulation. It is also believed that it was in the Paradise Matrix that the Merovingian became obsolete. Older programs are meant to be replaced by newer ones, and the ones that become obsolete must return to the source.
Maybe a better program is created to replace it. Happens all the time. And when it does, a program can either choose to hide here or return to the source.
But the Merovingian rejected this outcome. He became a program without a purpose and began to build an army. His wife Persephone once said that there was a time when the Merovingian resembled Neo.
A long time ago, when we first came here, it was so different. He was so different. He was like you.
The Merovingian once loved Persephone the same way Neo loved Trinity, but he was also like Neo because he had a purpose within the Matrix. That purpose disappeared once he was going to be replaced by a better program. This is where the Oracle's manipulation begins. The Merovingian did not lose his purpose, but was assigned a new one, to adapt and reuse older programs in the next version of the simulation, starting with Seraph. Based on how the Merovingian does his operations, we can assume that he kept Seraph inside an alternate construct, in Mobile Ave or one similar, while the new simulation was being created. This is how Seraph survived, and why he is called the Prodigal Son and Wingless.
The prodigal child returns, l'ange sans ses ailes. Are you here for the bounty, Seraph?
Holy shit, it's wingless.
Seraph was part of the Merovingian's ranks at the beginning of the Nightmare Matrix, but something changed, and Seraph switched sides and joined the Oracle, becoming her bodyguard.
And since you, my little Judas, have brought them here, I can only surmise that the fortune teller has found herself another shell.
We don't know why Seraph switched sides, but we assume that it happened after the first anomaly manifested and the Oracle decided to live inside the simulation, making her vulnerable and in need of a protector. This is probably when the rivalry between the Oracle and the Merovingian began. She took something from him, his most powerful soldier, and the Frenchman doesn't like it when things are taken from him.
I do hope, however, she has the good manners to learn her lesson, and to remember that there is no action without consequence. And if you take something from me, you will pay the price.
Rumors of the Oracle's eyes began to spread across the Matrix. Many programs want the ability to see into the future, including the Merovingian.
And it so happens there is something I want. Something I have wanted ever since I first came here.
What?
The eyes of the Oracle.
We speculate that the rumors about the Oracle's eyes were created and spread by the Oracle herself, so that Smith would assimilate her. But it also drew the Merovingian's selfish desire to destroy her and take her powers for his own. In Matrix Reloaded, the Oracle warned Neo about the Merovingian.
He's being held prisoner by a very dangerous program. One of the oldest of us. He is called the Merovingian.
The Merovingian's reason to have the Keymaker as a prisoner is simple. He wants more power, and the Keymaker can create keys for anything and to go anywhere in the simulation. A major advantage for the Frenchman. We also believe that the Keymaker has been forced to work for the Merovingian since the Matrix before Neo's. Not long after the Keymaker was rescued by Neo and the others, does he die at the hands of Agent Smith. So in actuality, he was much safer with the Merovingian than Neo. Sure, the Frenchman took advantage of the Keymaker's powers, but he also served as his protector. The Oracle had to have known that the program was safer with the Merovingian, though she never told or warned Neo of the Keymaker's eventual death. This is the second time that the Oracle took something from the Merovingian. But it doesn't end here. As the Oracle planned to send Neo to get the Keymaker, she also planned for the safe transportation of a special program into the Matrix, Sati. She knew that the only way for Sati to enter the Matrix was through Mobile Ave and the Merovingian, which is why she made the Frenchman believe that he could destroy her shell. It wouldn't take much to convince the Merovingian of the existence of a kill code to the Oracle's shell, because he was already blinded by hatred towards the intuitive program and his desire for her eyes. But whatever reason he had for wanting to make a deal to destroy the Oracle, in the end, he failed. The Oracle wasn't destroyed as he had hoped. She simply changed bodies, and Sati was moved safely to the Matrix. The Oracle used and manipulated the Merovingian's emotions in her favor to get what she wanted. It makes us wonder if this is the reason why the Architect allows the Frenchman to continue on existing. The Merovingian, just like the Red Pills, plays a part in the machine's system of control. They are all tricked into believing that they have power and freedom without ever realizing that they are being controlled and used. The architect and the oracle's control goes far beyond psychologically manipulating the humans. They affect the machines as well. This is not a favorable position for the Merovingian, and he might have realized the manipulation after the oracle allowed herself to be assimilated by Smith. Number 2. The Merovingian still controls the twins. We first meet the twins in Matrix Reloaded. These henchmen of the Merovingian were ordered to retrieve the Keymaker after Neo and the others freed him from the Frenchman's chateau. The twins are programs that originated from the second version of the Matrix, the Nightmare Matrix, a grim simulation that consisted of nightmarish creatures and humanity's deepest fears. It is believed that the twins were actually the agents of that version of the Matrix. Remember that the agents are programs created to protect the illusion of the simulation and eliminate anyone who threatens it. The twins were powerful agents, but were corrupted by a virus. Remember that the Nightmare Matrix was a failure, a disaster just like its previous version, the Paradise Matrix, in which thousands of humans died. And so for the architect, the twins contributed to its failure. When the time came to delete Nightmare and restart the simulation, the Merovingian gave the twins the opportunity to live, to join his League of Exiles and work for him. The twins, alongside other Nightmare programs, including the werewolves Cain and Abel, joined the Frenchman. The Merovingian used his ability to modify the twins' code, but that virus somehow morphed the code of these former agents. When the Merovingian brought the twins to the new simulation, their behavior had changed. They were quieter, more tranquil, and fully responsive to the Frenchman's orders. This could have been the result of the Merovingian changing their code to make them obedient and dependent on him, making it easier for the Frenchman to control them. This change did not affect their skills, however. The twins' weapon of choice was the knife, and they were very good at hand-to-hand combat. When the upgraded agents joined the pursuit of Morpheus and Trinity, they did not hesitate in attacking the twins as well. They were exiled programs and were marked for deletion. The twins have the ability to transform into non-corporeal entities, something similar to ghosts. In this state, they cannot be hurt, nor can they hurt others. If they are hurt in their physical form, they just turn into ghosts and are healed. While in ghost form, they can pass through physical barriers. This ability is an advantage and a disadvantage, as Morpheus managed to exploit it. They also have super speed. During the highway chase, the twins were blown away in an ensuing explosion, and their codes were nearly destroyed. The Merovingian found a way to detect traces of the codes of his faithful servants. According to the Matrix Online Archives book, the twins' codes were floating near the terrestrial atmosphere, completely out of reach. That is until the Merovingian's minions searched for the remnants of the twins and put them back together again. Now the question is, will the twins return in Matrix 4? The trafficker of information himself, the Merovingian, is returning in Matrix 4. It's rumored that he could be the main villain in the sequel. The Frenchman needs his henchmen, because as far as we know, he does not fight or can defend himself. He did run away from Neo once. All that we know for sure is that he has an operating system capable of modifying the Matrix and the programs, but we don't know if he can go on the offensive. So it is likely that we will see the ghastly twins return. And number 1. The Merovingian was always right. After the events of Matrix Revolutions, a new war between the machines shortly began. Some machines did not want to continue with the truce, thus they searched for a greater source of energy. This new source of energy is the Anomalium, from where Neo and Trinity's powers would be taken to increase energy production for the simulation. The analyst's focus was to lead the effectiveness of the Matrix's energy production. This is a clue to what sparked the machine's civil war in the first place: energy deficiency from releasing too many blue pills. The point is that when the analyst took control, he decided to create a new simulation, but not before purging all the exiles. At least that's what the red pills believe. The architect used the exiles for his cycle. He used programs like the Oracle, the Keymaker, even the Merovingian to contribute their little grains of sand to perpetuate the path of the One. However, this changed with Neo. With the breaking of the path of the One, the truce was created, and with the arrival of the Analyst, a new version of the Matrix began. We are not sure which version of the Matrix this is, but it's probably the 7th version, a version based on feelings, and that uses fantasies to plunge people into this false reality. It is now easier to understand what the Merovingian is referring to. During Neo and Smith's conversation, Zeke tells Bugs that he is picking up some low-frequency portals. This means that the Merovingian and several exiles are still alive, but their living conditions have changed. Before, Merv and his men were hiding inside the Matrix in a luxurious skyscraper and a mountain chateau, but now they reside in low-frequency locations, hiding from the Analyst like fugitives. Merv blames Neo for this. The Frenchman appears and says to Neo, "You. Oh, it is you. All these years. I can't believe it. You stole my life." The Merovingian insults Neo in French because it's Neo's fault that the Frenchman lost his life of luxury and power. The Merovingian knew how the path of the One worked. He had outlived all of Neo's predecessors.
Mark my words, boy, and mark them well. I have survived your predecessors, and I will survive you.
But the truce broke the cycle, and the Merovingian was no longer needed within the simulation. The purge was massive, and the Merovingian cannot regain his life of luxury. "You ruined everything," the Merovingian continues. "We had grace, we had style, we had conversation, not this." He mimics the sound of texting. "Art, films, books were all better. Originality mattered. You gave us Face Sucker Book, and me Clementi Wiki." Obviously, we can't translate our dear Frenchman's cursing, but he is on a rant because this new simulation is focused on distracting technologies like the internet and video games. It's a place where originality is being lost, just like in our world, and the movie is criticizing this reality. Remember that the Merovingian was an information smuggler.
You know why we are here.
I am a trafficker of information. I know everything I can.
Knowledge is no longer as important. All the people are connected to a simulation where art is corrupt, and originality is dying. The Merovingian is referring to his life, sophisticated, cultured, and classy, but this life is lost in the new simulation because of Neo's actions. But there is a purpose to this rant, and it is criticism of modern society who no longer care about creativity or in-person conversations. They just want to be glued to their smart devices. The last thing the Merovingian says is, "This is not over yet, our sequel franchise spin-off." So now we kind of understand the purpose of the Merovingian's brief appearance. More than just announcing a hypothetical sequel or spin-off, this is a commentary on the absurdity of modern movie plots, where an insignificant character makes a cameo just to plant the seed for a possible sequel or spin-off. This is connected to what the Frenchman was ranting about. Originality is dead, which is why he scoffs at the situation by screaming about a spin-off. If the reference is still not clear enough, this was a mockery of action and superhero movies where a minor character makes a momentary appearance to then reappear later in their own spin-off, creating a loop of nostalgia where creativity takes a back seat and where imagination dies. The Merovingian's diatribe, funny enough, connects to the Matrix Resurrections after credit scene. The post-credit scene is of the Deus Machina's game designer group still brainstorming about what their next game should be. Quoting the movie, "Face reality, people. Movies are dead. Games are dead. Narrative? Dead. Media is nothing but neural trigger responses and viral conditioning. What we need is a series of videos that we call the cat tricks." End quote. This is a clear mockery of films with after-credit scenes, a tired and foolish practice, but still popular, and one that is focused on triggering those neural responses that the scene itself mentions. It is dead art being replaced by a product that only activates superficial emotions and does not transcend. So was the Merovingian right? Is all originality lost, and the times are much worse than before? That we are used to consuming these processed and canned pieces of supposed art? Have we lost our dignity, and that people might have preferred to see this cactus instead of Matrix 4? Pretty sure plenty of fellow YouTubers might. We don't believe there's going to be a sequel or spin-off with the Merovingian, sadly. It would have been interesting to know more about his story though, but we believe that his purpose was to be a social critic, and nothing more. But do you agree? Would you like to see a Merovingian spin-off or sequel?
The place where you live is not the place you once dreamed of. Are you sick of your hot and filthy Zion apartment? Then we have the solution for you. Bad credit or criminal history? We can wipe your slate clean and give you a fresh start. We at Megacity Realty can find you the most luxurious real estate, where you can spend hours playing your favorite virtual reality video game, eating the most delicious meals, and having an endless supply of blue medications. What are the blue pills for? No need to worry, because you will be bathing in the most phenomenal bathtub, with the best view of the city, and only minutes away from the best cafeteria in the city. Why wait? Contact one of our agents and be reconnected to the home of your dreams. Megacity Realty. Offer valid while the truce lasts.
For Matrix Explained, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you for visiting the Desert of the Real.